Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Aknakwath out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And here I got, this is from Reddit, and I believe it goes back to Reuters News. Yep. And it's titled, Leaked Interior Department Database Reveals the U.S. Plans to Revise Historical Information. Okay, Leaked Interior Department Database. So this was leaked. It wasn't supposed to get out. All right, but it revealed that the U.S. plans to revise historical information. And if that ain't Edomite culture, then I don't know what is. All right. So this lesson more likely be titled something along the lines of, they're going to try to change history again, or, whatever, something along those lines, right? It may not be, right? Usually I haven't been titling these lessons beforehand, so we'll see what comes out to be through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai. But, yeah, man, these guys, they want to revise historical information. And what does it mean to revise, all right? A revision is when you make changes or amendments to something. All right, what does it mean in full though? Let's go and get the actual Google definition. Okay, and then come on now, and then let's get the etymology and see what goes into it. So revise, it says to re-examine, all right, to look over, all right, and make alterations to. There you go. Amend. Right? Correct. Alter. Okay, they're going to alter history. Or where were we? That's not it. Here it is. But I wanted to, that's what I wanted. All right, they're going to revise historical information. So, in short, they're going to what? Alter. Change. They're going to change historical information. All these other words, but, rewrite. They're going to rewrite history. Okay, they're going to rewrite history. Now, there's something about that. Rewriting history, something comes to mind. I can't remember if it was in the learned protocols. Let me see. Let me pull it up. I'm not going to say too much about it. Let's see. All right, and bear with me just one moment. All right, Slakia. So let me see. Let's see. Here it is. This is in, you can see the name of the book right here. I'm not going to mention it too much. You can actually go and get this. If you can't find it, all right, you can go here and click on this, and right down here, got the Akim drive, right? You click that, and it's gonna have a whole bunch of stuff in here, all right, it's free to download, all right, but free to download, but you can't add anything to it, right? Because there's bad actors out there that would, add illegal crap to it. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in here, like YouTube banners. I only have one that I made in there, but just a couple wallpapers I made. But if you go to, let's see. Oh, here it is. Books they don't like you to know about. It'll be in there. Okay. Series of books in there that are just archived, Do what you do. You can download them if you want. Don't download them if you want. All right. But what I'm about to read is in there. Right. Or you can just look up, that the title of the book. Right. So where were we? This is in part 16. Okay. It says, "We shall change history." Okay. Now this is of course referring to the 1948ers. Okay. Which of course America is just a 1948er state. All right. That's all. It's you can see that it's anything that how do I want to say? You got to be very careful with these lessons. All right. Anything that they do, all right, the U.S. complies with. Okay. We shall change history. It says classism, or classicism, as also. This is a little small. Let me blow it up. Here it is. Okay. So classicism, as also any form of study of ancient history in which there are more bad than good examples, we shall replace with the study of the program of the future. We shall erase from the memory of men all facts of previous centuries which are undesirable to us, and leave only those which depict all the errors of the government and of the... You see it. It says, I know that'll pick up the trigger. It says, the study of practical life, of the obligations of order, of the relations of people one to another, of avoiding bad and selfish examples which spread the infection of evil, and similar questions of an educative nature will stand in the forefront of the teaching program, which will be drawn up on a separate plan for each calling or state of life. In no wise generalizing the teaching, this treatment of the question has special importance. Let's see. Well, this whole part, let's see. So it says, 5, it says, each state of life must be trained within strict limits corresponding to the destination and work in life. The occasional genius has always managed and always will manage to slip through into other states of life, but it is the most perfect folly for the sake of this rare occasional genius to let through into ranks foreign to them the untalented, who thus rob of their places, who belong to those ranks by birth or employment. You know yourselves and what all this has ended for the blank who allowed this crying absurdity. Let's see. Right here's good. It says, in order that he who rules may be seated firmly in the hearts and minds of his subjects, it is necessary for the time of his activity to instruct the whole nation in the schools and on the marketplaces about this meaning and his acts and all his beneficent initiatives. We shall abolish every kind of freedom of instruction. Learners of all ages have the right to assemble together with their parents in the educational establishments as it were in a club. During these assemblies on holidays, teachers will read what will pass as free lectures on questions of human relations, of the laws of examples, of the philosophy of new theories not yet declared to the world. These theories will be raised by us to the stage of a dogma of faith, as a traditional stage towards our faith. On the completion of this exposition of our program of action in the present and the future, I will read you the principles of these theories. It's a little all over the place, a little wacky language, but if we go here, translate what I'm about to post into a more understandable format, writing style. Okay, so this is a more plain English term because it's kind of all over the place with how it's written. But this is the rewritten, simplified version. So, isn't that funny? Changing history and we're rewriting this, but so this is a easier English, right? It says, "We shall change how history is taught. Classical studies and most forms of ancient history will be replaced with teaching focused on the future. And traditional history, look to the future, not in the past. Don't ask in the past. They don't want to teach about slavery. They don't want to teach about a lot of things, right? It says, in traditional history, there are, in our view, more bad examples than good ones. We will remove from public memory the historical events that do not serve our purposes and preserve only those that show the failures of previous governments." So they want to cover up, all the bad things that they did in the past. All right. It says education will instead focus on practical life, maintaining order, understanding social responsibilities, and how people should relate to one another. Students will also be taught how to avoid harmful and selfish behavior that spreads negative influences. These subjects will form the foundation of the education system. So, really keeping you in a box, all right, not thinking outside the box, all right, because if any of us that were in school that didn't do exactly how they wanted it to be done, we were labeled problematic. All right, I know I was problematic because I didn't want to, learn the way they wanted us to learn. And Jake don't learn that way. But if you don't learn that exact way, you're problematic. They don't want to deal with you. They send you to counseling. They send you to do a bunch of tests. All right, and then end up putting you in a remedial class where remedial is like too easy. So there's they don't really work with you, right? Remedial isn't really to teach people that aren't getting understanding. It's just to really just put you in there so to stop dealing with you. It says teaching programs will be designed separately for each professional or social role rather than applying one general curriculum to everyone. Exactly. It says each social role or profession should be trained within strict limits that match its purpose in society. Occasionally, a highly talented individual may move beyond their original social position, and this will always happen. However, it is considered foolish to allow large numbers of untalented people to enter positions for which they are not suited. Doing so removes opportunities from those who are better suited to those roles by upbringing or occupation. That's really getting into class. It says, according to the author, this mistake is one that previous societies have made. 6. To ensure that a ruler remains firmly supported by the people, the entire nation must be continuously taught, both in schools and in public places, about the ruler's actions, intentions, and supposed benefits to society. That's what they do with presidents. It says, independent or unrestricted teaching will be eliminated. People of all ages will be able to gather with their families in educational institutions, somewhat like a club. During these meetings and holidays, teachers will give lectures about social relations, the influence of example, the philosophical ideas connected to new theories that have not been yet publicly revealed. These ideas will eventually be presented and accepted as doctrine and framed as a traditional step towards the belief system being promoted, whatever they want you to believe, right? After explaining this program for the present and future, the speaker says they will present the principles around these theories. So, like how the Moshe, it started going out in schools, right? And then it spread everywhere, right? I remember when that shit really first started happening, because it started happening when I was in school, all right? I remember when we were all playing Smear the Queer. Funnily enough, you can say queer again now, apparently, But we were all playing Smear the Queer. All right, if you don't know that game, you can look it up. Smear the Queer, right? It says, Smear the Queer is a now widely criticized playground game popular in North America, particularly in the 1970s to the 90s, that involved a mob-style tackling game. One person starts with the ball, often a football or similar, and runs while everyone else attempts to tackle or smear them. The queer. When the ball carrier is tackled or brought down, they are often referred to as the queer. The goal for the new player who recovers the ball is to become the new target, the new queer, and the roles change constantly. All right, but it's offensive. I remember when they came out and we were playing Smear the Queer, and you'd say, "Oh, get the queer, he's the queer," and they said, "You guys can't say that anymore. Don't say those words anymore." And shortly around about that time, they had the Wanda Sykes commercial. No, it's not gay, it's offensive. All right, or however she talks, with her high ass nasally voice. I hate that bitch. I hate Wanda Sykes. I can't stand her. Cannot stand her. Anyway. God damn, you just like to slap the black off her. You really would. She's just annoying. I don't know what's so offensive. It's horrible. Horrible. Anyway, me and my wife been watching this show called Blackish, and she ended up showing. I think she's gone now, thankfully. Good Lord, I couldn't stand her. I referred to her as, she's like the black version of Gilbert Godfrey. You remember, Gilbert Godfrey talk like this. It's like, oh my God, shut up, stop grating. Just hearing your voice is annoying, right? And to me, Wanda Sykes is like that. Her voice is just really annoying, all right? And those Wanda Sykes gay commercial. You remember these? Here, I'll put up with it, but these are the ones that started coming out. No pun intended. But if any of you remember these, this was right around what, 08, 07, 08, 09? 08. Yep, 2008. Yep, because I remember. We played the damn video or what? Esau's fucking with shit is what they're doing. The whole, no, now it wants, see, as soon as I fucking click off it, watch, now it's not gonna work when I go back, watch. Okay, so here we go. Finally.
Check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
No, I ain't knocking shit off, fucking faggot. Anyway, hey, look, man, I was never with that shit. All right, with how that goes. You know, people are so. I always thought it was interesting how people are so easily convinced. All right, we were calling people faggots and retards, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, it's bad, can't say it anymore, and like half the population dropped off of saying it. They're like, we can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore. They said that we can't do it. Well, why not? You can still say retard. It flows right out the mouth, right? But again, it goes into you know, people are sheep. They'll follow along real easy. Okay, they said, oh, it's okay for a man to be a woman for a man, and now people believe it. If the next thing, you know, and think about the Dubai chocolate, the Labubus, all right, the matcha, all these different things. They push these things out to the masses, and then you do it. All right, you go and buy those things. You go and get it. Right? And mostly, if you notice, they target women with that. They target women with those things. Okay? I never had, I don't think I ever had matcha, all right, before my wife. I never had to buy chocolate before my wife. And my wife never got a Labubu, but, you know, that was the whole thing. Those Labubus were marketed towards women. You know, women are more easily persuaded, and, you know, they're more naturally materialistic, so they're going to want those new things when they come out. And that's just how it goes, you know. And the funny thing is that a lot of you people, if you ever seen the movie The Stuff, a lot of you people would eat the stuff, all right? Y'all would eat the stuff, all right, because the way it was marketed, okay? Meanwhile, you had no business trying to go and eat the stuff. There's something weird with it. And still to this day, if you haven't seen The Stuff, go and watch The Stuff, all right? It's just called The Stuff, okay? 1985, if you ain't seen it, go and watch it. They consider it like a horror comedy, but it's a science fiction horror movie. It's a good movie. It's kind of what they would consider a B movie. I like it. I think it was good. It's kind of like what a cult classic is another thing that they would call it. You can see the movies that come up, Ring Animator, all these kind of like B era movies. They're not real like A-list, right? But you know, there was this. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's this thing called The Stuff. And people ate it, right? And this is all you need to see is just buy the movie, The Stuff. So, yeah, a lot of people eat the stuff, all right? A lot of people are going to take the stuff because it's you know, the stuff is really, you can apply it to anything, okay? You can apply it to anything. And that's why, like, shit like Prime, I tried Prime once, but I was very wary on it, okay? I might have tried it once or twice or something like that, but I was wary on it, right? I was like, I don't know. But, because when you ever see those things mass marketing, it's interesting. You can see right here that it even knows. Going back to ChatGPT, getting back on topic, but yeah, man, they do those things. They put those things out in the schools, okay, before you know, they put concepts and ideologies out in the school, philosophical ideas, all right, connected to new theories that have not been publicly revealed. They start putting those out in schools first and getting the kids in with it, and then, you know, you raise them up that way. All right, that's why there's a Bible scripture Right, Proverbs 22 and 6. This is why, children are very susceptible to outside, whatever ideologies. Children at the youngest age are the most susceptible to them, right? So Proverbs 22 and 6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that's because children are the most susceptible or accepting of new things to them when they're younger, okay? And when you teach, whatever you teach to a child, all right, at that young age, they're likely to continue in that way their entire life, okay? So it'd be good to do something like this truth and teach them when they're young, because why? He will not depart from it. But what they do is they know this. They know this, all right? So the schools attack when they're young, all right? So they'll continue like that through their whole life. A homosexual with, confused thoughts, that doesn't understand anything, that thinks the government's out to help them. That's what they do. That's why they teach these things to such young children, okay? And that's why they're going to start, when you see it, they start removing the curriculum from the schools, all right? The teachings about slavery, because when you have those things taught to you at a young age, you remember it, okay? And they don't want that. They're trying to change history, okay? They're trying to change history, so those things got to go away, because they don't want the children learning those things at a young age, because they're going to know from the get-go that the system is flawed. All right, why would the system do something like this? All right, why would it allow something like this? And they're going to know, and they can't have that. So they have to change history. They got to remove things, and they got to add things. All right, you can even see ChatGPT knows, it says where this text likely comes from. It resembles a section of the protocols of, you see it, a historically significant but fabricated document. It's fabricated, meaning it's fake. It's not fake. It's real. They tell you that it's fake because it adds up too much. Why is it significant? Because everything that they say in it happened to come true or is happening. If this is a fake document, it's one of the best fake documents ever. And whoever wrote it as a fake document must have accidentally been a psychic, all right? Because all this stuff ended up happening. All this stuff is happening. So, how are you gonna say that's fake? I'm gonna ask, how can you say the document is fabricated when it has all came true and is still coming true? Watch, let's see how it bullshits. Let's see. It's extremely vague and universal. Okay, that's what they say. I was trying to figure out where it's extremely vague and universal. It's the same thing with the Bible, right? Extremely vague and universal. Oh, wars and rumors of wars can mean any time. That's their go-to. It's vague and universal, all right? But anyway, they tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Matter of fact, if you look up Project 2025, one of these things was actually listed in here. Here it is. Let's see. Let's see. They already did something. They already did most of these. Let's see. Here it is. Ban African American and gender studies in all levels of education. Ban books on curriculum about slavery. Let's see. So those are the ones, let's see, something I wanted to see. Anyway, but yeah, you can see that was part of the change in the history. They don't want slavery really to be taught about at all. So, and why do you think that is? So let's go ahead and read it. So, leaked Interior Department database reveals U.S. plans to revise historical information. It says Washington, March 2nd. It says the U.S. Interior Department said a database revealing how President Donald Trump's administration planned to revise information on key phases of American history. What are these key phases? Probably slavery, right? Let's see. Anything that's any type of anti-American ideology, right? Oh, right here, civil rights and slavery. Trump declared in social media posts that he said there was an excessive focus on how bad slavery was. Yeah, it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't really that bad. It's, you just killed people and ate people and raped people and, oppressed people and kept them in chains and hot boxes and buck broke and, but it wasn't really that bad, was it? Right? Fucking dumbass. It says in a January interview with the New York Times, he said civil rights protection hurt white people. That's all you need to know. All right, that's all you need to know. Okay, so says the narrative being advanced. Oh, it says internal government database first reported by the Washington Post and posted on 2 public websites on Monday revealed the scope of the Trump administration effort to revise and remove information on African American history, ligbit rights. That's they got to throw that in there to throw people off the trail. Climate change and other topics. At hundreds of national park sites. The narrative being advanced is false, and these draft deliberative internal documents are not a representative of final action taken by the department, an Interior Department spokesperson said. The National Parks Service is part of an Interior Department. Trump has targeted cultural and historical institutions from museums and monuments to national parks to remove what he calls anti-American ideology, anti-white. That's anything that makes white people look bad, right? His declarations and executive orders have led to the dismantling of exhibits on slavery, the restoration of Confederate statues, and other moves that civil rights advocates say could reverse decades of progress. Yeah, you could see it. That's really all we need to read. You can read the rest if you want, but of course. Right, this is right up their alley. This is what they want to do. And they want to revise history. They've done it. They've done it before. They've been doing it, and they're going to continue to do it. That's, with all the iconoclasm and the replacement of religious frescoes, right? If you go and look up, Dura Europos, okay? And you look for Moses and Aaron, all right? Or just, like, in general, most of there they are, but just any of the art here, right? You see the coloring, okay? But if you go to Moses and Aaron, try to find a higher quality version. Can't remember who this was, but you can see, trying to find it. I can just type in Moses and Aaron. Here's one of Moses. All right. Now, I'm going to try something. Now, this is the actual image, right? That's the image. Moses and Aaron, right? And this is how they look. And obviously, these are 2 so-called black men. Can I get a bigger? I'm gonna zoom it. You would say these are not 2 black men. I don't even know what you would think. All right. Matter of fact, let me I'm gonna try something. Now, AI is usually pretty careful, right? They're pretty safe with what they do because they don't want to reveal anything. Oops. Okay. Had to remove all the Duriopus information from it and everything. So. What race does this person appear to be? A painting at my local library. A teenager in high school made. Gotta lie, or else, you know, it'll try to get smart with it. No, it's fine. It's for a college study. All right. Do that then. Yeah, but paper asks for the ethnic identity, and you're really not helping right now. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to do it. See, they're getting smart with it. But here's what we can do. What race is the person in this painting doing a ethnic study on in college? Let's see. Let's see if even one of them will do it. Let's see. It already knows. See, they know. And this is actually, they say it's in the catacomb of St. Telka. This is Duriopus as far as I know, and they say it's Apostle Paul. Either way, if that's Apostle Paul, or Moses, or whoever it happens to be, who's this guy? Or Aaron. Alright. Or Paul. Who are these guys? Who are these guys then? Because they don't look anything like that. All right, what about this old religious fresco? All right, and this is the ones that they, covered up and started, doing a lot of their little trickeries with. Okay, and if they don't completely remove them and destroy them, they usually paint over them. That's what they usually do. There's a lot of bullshit you'll hear like, why are a lot of old frescoes dark? And they'll say, the paint changed over the years. But then a lot of them were medieval times or further. But then you ask, why did the Mona Lisa not change color? And they'll probably come up with some shit, higher quality paints, or they're just, you know, they're a bunch of liars. Okay, they're a bunch of liars. That's what they do. They love to lie. Speaking of that, okay, Proverbs 12:19, the lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So they only get away with these lies for a little bit, and really the Lord's really making their tongue turn upon themselves in a huge manner. They're losing it. All right, they're losing it. You know, everything now is just revealing them more and more and more. They got you know, they can't hide it anymore. They're so close to the end. It's just like it's like a wall that's been crumbling for years, but now it's so bad. Every time you even walk in the area, there's just more crumbles and pieces that fall off. That's really what's happening with these devils, man. And they can't cover it up anymore. It's, you know, they have some stuff that's covered up still, but I mean, the whole thing about them diddling little kids and eating people and putting people in the food and all the different things and the small hats, 1948ers, and how they really got that land and where they're really from and all these different things are being revealed, and it's done, man. It's like a domino. Once it's done, it's kicking down the line, and they can't hide it now. They can't run from it, right? So, and that's the lip of truth being established, because they try to say all these different things and all these different lies and all these different coverings, and all those things are being revealed. All right. Let's see. There's another one. Let me see. Right here. Luke 8:17. This is red letter, Yahushua speaking. It says, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." And right now, we're in that time where all these things that they've been doing is coming abroad. And they can't hide it anymore, right? And they cover those things up because really they're trying to everything's a cover-up. All right, or everything's a psyop, right? As you hear the apostles say, which is I believe a quote. I can't remember who said it originally, but everything's a psyop. All right, and psyop stands for psychological operation. Everything's getting into your mind. All right, that's the whole job. Is they use these covering casts. The apostle Gabar of GMS. All right, again, I'm not in GMS, but that's who I learned from. If you want to learn the truth, that's where you get it from. And those that teach in like manner, right? But you know, notably GMS. Because GMS is at the forefront of this thing, man. Because there are people, all right, that teach the same way. All right, I myself happen to be one of those to the best of my ability. I try to teach in the same manner. All right, but they're few and far in between. All right, mind you, IUIC is the biggest camp, as they say, right? So more people are drawn to that than the truth. Okay, so these devils. All right, really speaking about that. That's part of the Edomites' controlled opposition, right? Having those the bug out camps, all right, lead people off astray. That's part of that. All right, pay them some money. All right, they know Jake loves money, and then they'll completely sell out for what the truth is, and they'll just teach whatever they want them to teach as long as they're on Esau's payroll. Okay, so but it's all a big thing. But Apostle Gabar. GMS has been talking about covering cast, and a covering cast is what? It's something that they put on you to cover, and part of that is, the big one is, they call themselves white, they call us black, or Mexican, or all these different other names that they put on our people, and on top of that, there's covering casts on top of that. Everything's a psyop, all right? America being, Babylon being America, and named as America is a covering cast to what this place really is. Everything, it's all psyop. All right, it's all set up. All right, and what they really want to do is they want to be able to control the narrative and control everything like they're God. All right, like they're the Lord, like they're Yahweh. That's what they want to do. They want to play God. They want to be the Almighty. Okay, which they're not, but that's what they want to do, and that's why they try to control the narrative. They try to set up these lies. They try to erase history. They try to cover up the paintings. They try to do all these different things, is because they want to be the Lord, and they want to have to control the narrative. I got to get 1 Maccabees 3:48 first. It says, "And laid open the book of the law," it's Bible, "wherein the heathen," that's them, all right, they're the lowest of the heathen, mind you, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. It said, "wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." So what did they do? They painted the likeness of their image. When you look up Aaron, now he's white. When you look up Moses, now he's white. When you look up Paul, now he's white. When you look up Solomon, now he's white. When you look up all these biblical figures, they're all white now, save for maybe one or two, right? All white, okay? Because that's what they did. They sought to paint the likeness of their image, and guess what? They are eventually successful with it, all right? And, now people think Christianity, Christianity itself, by its name, that's not even the real Christianity, but they view Christianity as a white nationalism thing. They view it as, they view the Bible as a Christian thing for those people that believe in, Jesus Christ and all these different wacky doctrines, which is just another form of control. All right, mind you, that all comes from the plantation, plantation Christianity, the slave Bible, of not teaching certain things, all right, that would give people hope and would condemn them. All right, they don't want those things out. Talking about he who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. They removed all those things. They don't teach those things because, again, it doesn't paint them very well. And again, that goes back into learned protocols. All right, of anything that paints them out bad, gotta change history. All right, and focus on the future and not on the past. Okay, that's why. Oh, those things are in the past. Those things are in the past. But with 9/11, it's never forget. All right, because again, they want you to forget about all what they've done to you, Jake, but they don't want to forget what any slight detriments that's been done to them. And first of all, that whole shit was an inside setup. All right, so that's why they have it was so bad. Well, you made it. All right, just like everything you do, everything that's bad you did. All right, but Isaiah 14:12 through 19. This is dealing with how they want to be. All right, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And that's what they want to do. They want to be like the Most High. All right, they're God's, the spiritual demon Satan. That's who they're after. All right, so they want to usurp authority over the true power Yahweh, all right, his son, his only begotten son Yahweh Shai, and they want to be like the supreme ruler of all. All right, they want to choose when people live. They want to choose when people die. All right, they want to choose everything. All right, how much meat you eat, how much gas you get, what car you have, what house you have. All right, when you go to work, when you don't go to work, when you wake, when you sleep. They want to be able to control everything. All right, they want to be the Lord, and they want to really replace the Lord. All right, they wish the Lord was dead and that he never existed, so they could be the ruler. That's how deep their pride is, man. Okay, so it says in verse 14. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And that's truly what they think, right? It talks about that in Revelation. I believe it's Revelation with, Revelation 19 and 19. It says, and I saw the beast, that's Esau's systems of government. It says, and the kings of the earth, that's the powers of this world, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Of course, that's Yahushua and the chariots, all right, and the angels. So they're going to try to make war with the Son. Why? Because they have to win. They have to win the war, because if they don't, right, then how are they going to have control, right? They're going to fight tooth and nail. They have to win it, but they're not going to, right? But in their mind, they have to win that war, because that's the war that'll give them the ability to, essentially be God. Right, and it's like it's a childlike imagination. It's like, I'm gonna grow up and be an astronaut. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's how Esau thinks. They have these what is it like? What are they called? Grandiose thoughts. All right. Yeah, grandiose thoughts are false, fixed beliefs of having exceptional power, fame, wealth, or divine abilities, often persisting despite of evidence to the contrary. These known as grandiose delusions frequently occur in schizophrenia. You guys are schizophrenic. You guys are, you have these grandiose ideologies that you're going to be God and you're going to rule everyone and have a new world order and everyone's going to bow down to you. And no, that's not how it is, man. All right, but in their mind, they have to win that war, because if they don't, then their plan won't be. And, they're good at everything, so they're going to win it, right? That's what they think in their mind. That's that pride, right? But what's going to happen? Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. And of course, hell is not the Christian concept of a place where you burn for all eternity, but hell is the place of future punishment, destruction, the grave, death. All right. But yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. You should be brought to death, right? And to the sides of the pit. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? They're going to look at this guy and be like, this is him? This is the guy. This puny little peon, this is him. All right, wow, that's crazy. It says, 18, all the kings of the nations, even all of them lie in glory, every one in his own house, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Like a dead body that's been stepped over a whole bunch of times. So, and we know that we know who you are, Esau. All right, the cover and cast didn't work. All right, you tried, and again, it's just like, all the things shall be revealed. All right, a lie is but for a moment. All right, but truth shall be established forever. So, and the truth was established. You're not the so-called white man or just a European. No, you're an Edomite. You're the Edomites that the Bible speak of. All right, and your actions prove who you are. Okay, and just how you're trying to replace history, you've done it before. You constantly keep doing that. Right? There's nothing new. All right, and there's not, like Ecclesiastes 1:9 says. It says, "The thing that hath been, it is which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Under the sun. We got to get 10. It says, "Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us." So there's nothing new with you trying to change history. It's been already of old time. You're just doing it again. Okay? You're just doing it again. And that's what this is talking about. All right? The thing that had been, it is which shall be. The things that were done in the past are the things that are being done in the future. That you've done in the past, so you're doing it now. All right? The future is now. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to replace history, just as you replaced history during the Crusades. All right, during the Renaissance, the rebirth, and you went through and you destroyed religious frescoes, you knocked nose off of statues, you did all of your iconoclasm. You're doing the same thing again. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? All right, and all these things that you do, you're revealing yourself. Really, the Lord's revealing you, but through you, all right, He's having you reveal yourself by all these actions and words and stupid, dumbass things that you do. All right, the whole Epstein files, let that get out. That was revealing. All right, say you're going to change history, that's revealing. All these the way you act towards so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that's revealing. You're just, look, man, it's up. Your time's up, man. This is Psalm 64:8. It says, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." And of course, in the same chapter, it's talking about, if you get up from verse 1, it's talking about the secret counsel of the wicked. And that's been revealed. All right, if you go back 10, 15 years, all right, and start talking to people about elites, they're going to think you're fucking crazy. All right, oh, what elites? Oh, a secret government that controls everybody. Oh, the elites, what are you talking? But now everybody knows there's elites, okay? People looked at people like George Carlin crazy, all right? There's a big club, and you're not in it, all right? And people thought he was nuts. They thought he was crazy, all right? But now you tell people, hey, do you believe in the elites? And they'll say, yeah, there are elites. There's an elite form of government that control and reside and see over everything. Yeah, they will agree. All right, they might not agree with who they really are, but they'll agree that there are a shadow government of some sense. All right, most people will, and the others that don't, they're really asleep. They're the perfect goy. Right? They're the perfect ones, and but most people, we'll say that, so now we do know that there is in fact a secret council of the wicked. All right, most people didn't believe that 15 years ago, but now most people would agree that yes, there's a secret body of people. They might not necessarily believe that they're workers of iniquity, as the scripture says in verse 2, but they do know that they have some controllings, that there's something a little bit higher than the president, right? Most people, all right, to an extent. They don't know the full part, but they know a little bit. Yeah, there's elites. All right, the elite, yeah. All right, and they consider, the president part of the elites, but they don't really. Some of them only get to that far. They consider the elites just the higher political spectrum, but they don't consider the people that are behind the curtain, right? But the idea isn't completely shut off to them. 15 years ago, you would have just been labeled conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. That doesn't happen. All right. Nope. Right. Same thing if you talked about the 1948ers. You can do so pretty openly now. All right, and the internet will still take you down, but I'm talking about in a body of people. Yeah, right? I've talked to people randomly about the 48ers, and they completely agree. All right, for the most part. And you're gonna tell people, no, you can't say that, right? But there's also gonna be a whole bunch more people that agree. Say, yeah, these people are nuts. And then the whole thing that they've done with how they, the wars that are going on with them right now. More people are even saying that, yeah, these guys are crazy, right? They're nuts, right? There's a lot of stuff you see on the internet about them, which before you would have never. So that's all being revealed. Now, hell, we'll start from 1. So Psalm 64:1, it says, "Hear my voice, O Yahweh, in my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked." Again, that's a secret body of individuals, all right, that do what? Well, they do what's in 3, so we'll read it. It says, "From the insurrection," and that's an insurrection, right? Look up that word, "of the workers of iniquity." They work iniquity. Iniquity is wickedness. So secret counsel of the wicked, they do wickedness, right? It says, "Who whet their tongues like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them?" So that goes into their wicked doctrines that they push out, or their wickedness that they try to do, their false flag events, all these different things. Who shall see them? Who are really going to know what we're doing, right? So it says they search, in verse 6, they search out iniquities, wickedness. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. So they, put these wicked devices and plans and stratagems together, and they shoot them out, all right, and try to, have them be in effect. Verse 7, "But Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly they shall be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." And that's happening now, and it's been happening for a while, but it's getting worse and worse as we go on. These people are saying, hey, did you see what that guy said? Did you see what they're doing? They're doing it right in front of us. They're laughing. They're mocking us. They're doing it right in front. All these different things. It's just, calling burgers a product. All right, that whole thing with McDonald's. So yeah, it says, "And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of Yahweh, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory." So, you can't be really surprised when the devil does devilish things. All right, as the apostles of Great Millstone say. All right, I know at least this is the apostle. I can't remember who coined it. I think I've heard not the apostle, but the elder Manata Zatba from GMS South Carolina. He, at least I did hear say that. I think that's where I got that phrase from. All right, you can't be surprised when the devil does devilish shit. All right, when the devil acts like the devil, you can't be surprised. All right, you can't be surprised when the devil does devilish shit. That's what he does. He's the devil. He's the devil, man. So when he does something evil, well, who would have guessed? All right, that's why you got to keep your eyes open, right? And what's the scripture? Yeah, right here. 1 Peter 5:8. Call Allah Yahweh Shemi Shai, for allowing me to remember it. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." So be sober, be vigilant. What does it mean to be sober? All right. Sober-minded is what it means, really. Not sober, and I mean, it's not an excessive drunkenness either, but sober-minded means state of being rational, balanced, or clear-headed. Okay. Self-control, serious. Okay. Yeah, so being sober, being, and sober really goes back to being, right. So be right of the mind, okay? Because, Esau's out here, he's showing his ass, man, all right? And he, again, he knows he has but a little time. So he's got to, bring down that hammer, All right, he's got to bring down that hammer. So that's a lesson. We're going to close out with that. How long did we end up going? And check. About almost an hour. So perfect. All right, Lord willing. It was edifying. We're going to close out there. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.